Hello, 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 everyone. Forgot to move my monitor down for a second. Oh, dear. Dear, oh, dear. Oh, there's crackling. What's going on? Oh, no. Oh, no. Hang on. I did change the output for the Xbox last night. So I pressed that. I mean, yeah, like, you would have, like, a pre-rendered cutscene or an in-game engine cutscene, I guess. Like, either way, they're still cutscenes, but... Today's going mostly well, apart from this audio. What's going on? You piece of shit. Elgato, I thought we talked about this yesterday. Right, just disconnecting it. Doing the classic. I'm just not fucking about with it right now. I'm going straight in on it and just being like, no. But behave. Needs to behave itself today. Properties. My PC in general is just being slow. Ooh, making more hammer scenery. Or making stuff on like painting it up, you mean. Yeah. Oh. I mean, that sounds okay to me if it does you, chat. But yeah, it's been going well today, thank you. Yeah, just sorting out that audio before we get anywhere in the game. But yes, been a good day of a good day of Zelda announcements, which, you know, I didn't expect to be saying today. It was one that really got me by surprise. To be fair, a lot of the direct did. So yeah, it's been a nice one day of like, oh cool. You know, it just started out with like looking like, oh, they remaking another game like they did with Link's Awakening? It's in that same art style, and then it's like, oh shit, like we're getting a Zelda game in 3 months' time. Like, what the shit? The one that literally like looks fucking amazing as well. Like, it doesn't look like it's a, you know, oh, we're just farting out a 2D Zelda or something. It's like, no, we're going and changing up the fucking 2D Zelda games as well. Like, what the actual fuck? Happy days indeed. Like, just for the first time in, like, the series, we actually get to be the Zelda. Apparently the Looney Tunes Sports thing is already, like, a mobile game, which explains why the game, like, graphically looked really bad and weird. So not expecting great things. Yeah, it really is Nintendo style a lot of the time to just be like, fuck it. Like, you know what we're gonna do? You think we've got no more games left for the Switch? Let's announce, like, 4 more for the next 4 months. Like, Excuse me? Like, oh yeah, do you want a Mario and Luigi game? Yeah, Mario Party game. New Zelda game starring Zelda. Yeah, fuck it. Go on. Go on. You can have them for the rest of the year, sure. Like, okay. Got Metroid Prime 4, probably coming out launch day on Switch 2, and also on Switch. Yeah, go ahead. Like, thanks, Nintendo. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, it does sound like the Looney Tunes sports game, which I was excited by the idea of it when it came up on screen. I was like, cool, like Space Jam game. Oh, it's not looking great. Oh, okay, turns out it's a fucking mobile game. Right, okay, got it. Like, not all mobile games are bad, of course, but this one particularly did not look fantastic. Like the Hello Kitty game. The Hello Kitty game is like a really popular mobile game, and that looks decent. But yes, basically the moment like Zelda was in the crystal, I was like, wait, Zelda? And then obviously like the portal opens up, I was like, what pretty fucking be playing as Zelda? And like the one time I'm like, that's in the middle of the day, I don't really want to. I don't think much is coming. We might see Metroid. That's about it. Like, I'm just going to skip on reacting to the Nintendo Direct, and then I'm just sitting there at home, like, losing my shit. Like, what do you mean there's a new fucking Zelda in 3 months? I should just, like, never, ever react to a Nintendo Direct again, because apparently they're just like, yeah, here's, like, 5 bombshells for you. Let's go. A hospital today. I mean, fair enough. I quite frankly hate hospitals just as a rule of thumb in general. I have done for all of eternity, but yeah, I hope you're okay. I hope things weren't too bad. I did think about making the joke yesterday of like, you know what, Nintendo, like, I'm not gonna stream. Come on, like, I don't think you've got the shit. Like, prove to us that you've got the shit. And it's like, they did, yeah. Of, like, the anti-summoning circle of just, you know what? I'm gonna pretend like this isn't important. I'm gonna pretend like there's no games coming out. That instead of everyone losing their mind every time, like, anything happens and tweet about a fucking Silk Song every day of the week. Like, maybe the answer is just be like, nah, nothing's coming out. I expect nothing from you, and then the game companies will be forced to be like, well, fuck you, we've got games. The day that no one tweets about Silk Song will be the day they announce it. Yeah. It's like when I, last time I went to A&E, and to be fair, the time before that, both times I was sent, like, I went to visit a GP. I got sent from the GP with an urgent letter of recommendation to get to A&E. You know, this person needs to be seen now. They shouldn't be waiting very long. And it's like, okay, we'll put you on, like, the majors on the emergency list. Like, you'll be seen to not long. And both times were a minimum wait of, like, 7 hours. And, like, that wasn't legit. That legitimately wasn't them forgetting about me or anything. I got through faster than most people. It's, like, absolutely fuck where the NHS has gone. Like, yeah, even when I was, like, younger, though, you know, what? Probably nearly 20 years ago. It was probably, must have been 18 years ago. I think I was around like 14 or 15. And it was a World Cup. So I presume it would have been like the 2006 World Cup. And yeah, I broke my ankle in like 9 places. And even then, nearly 20 years ago, my wait time was like 3 to 4 hours. Of me just, like, being in fucking, like, crying agony in A&E. As I say, with, like, a nigh-on shattered ankle. So yeah, it's definitely never been the best, but like, you know, essentially like 20 years later, it's double the wait time at least. So yeah, that's kind of why I personally, I don't want to, you know, get too personal and ask about your own experiences, but that's pretty much from those kind of experiences been why I'm always just like, you know what? No, people shouldn't be waiting like 20 fucking years to be seen when it's like an accident and emergency. It's like, unless you get brought in an ambulance, you're not getting seen at all. And the worst part is, like, I don't necessarily, you know, entirely blame just the hospitals and stuff and the staff, because a lot of it's on the public as well. A lot of people go to A&E when they shouldn't be there, and they should just go to a fucking GP or something, or book an appointment. That thing is like, there's zero reason to be in the hospital when, like, you know, when it's not an emergency, because if it's not, you're just not gonna get seen to, basically. Even when I turned up for like an appointment, like my appointments, I've had times where the doctors have just been hours late. It was like, great, fabulous. This is just my entire day then, just waiting around. Yeah, going back to, you know, more exciting, nice things anyway. After my rant, I'm very excited about Zelda and entering the Shadow Realm. Yeah, just like, fuck it. Yeah, I for a long time, my mum had a partner who, like, previously and for good reason was no longer a nurse in A&E and that, and he just had like horror stories about time wasters, aggressive people, like people being nasty as fuck in there because they had to wait for a long time. Like, doesn't sound like a fun thing to be on the other side of it all. But yeah, like, it is one of the things of, like, I presume when we finish Skyward Sword, maybe, like, depending on how many more weeks it takes to get through this, because I believe we still got, like, this dungeon, another dungeon, and then the end of the game. So I still think we've got quite a few streams left of this game. And then on top of that, I also think, like, we'll be very close to then having Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I think it was called, the new game announced. It'll be, like, end of September, so we're about 3 months away. Say it takes us another, like, I don't know, potentially, like, 4 to 6 streams to finish this. What it might just be is, like, a grab bag of doing some smaller streams, or it might just be, like, you know, doing, like, weird stuff. Like, trying to do fun things in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or something like that. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, is, like, maybe we could do, like, just some of the Nearly Naked Link run, or just some, like, fun challenges or something like that in the meantime, or maybe try, like, looking up how to figure out doing, like, a randomizer for one of the games that I know quite well, like Ocarina of Time or something, and looking around with that or something like that. But basically, I'm just like, I don't think there's enough time to start and finish another Zelda game between finishing this one and the new Echoes of Wisdom coming out. So I think it's probably just going to be doing like fun side stuff with Zelda content, or like even just throwing in a couple of indie game nights or whatever. Because yeah, just I want to get straight into the new Zelda on fucking release day. And this is why I got bloody sub goals for some of this shit, because like Nintendo also just needs to be aware, I can't fucking afford all these games. Like, Christ on a bike, just oh yeah, like do you want another 4 games to buy this year? I was like, I mean, to be fair, I luckily avoided having to pay for Destiny. But then, like, the Elden Ring DLC is coming out. I'd like to stream some of that. Maybe do some Elden Ring in place of Zelda. Like, I've still got to go beat Moog and Melania, so... maybe I could beat Moog, do some DLC streams, and do, like, a stream of trying to beat Melania. But I'm basically just, like... I've gotten to the point where I've beaten the game. I've gotten that sword that lets you really easily power level. At like that one grind spot. I'm just gonna get to the point where I'm like really OP for Moog. Because, you know, I'm not very good at Elden Ring, that's how I play, and you know. It's like, it's gonna just be one of those things of that's how I want to play my Elden Ring run, and that's how I'm gonna do it. Yeah, because like Erdtree's out in a few days, and I still haven't beaten Moog. I'm just like, I've had Destiny to play. But yeah, I just I want to get on top of. It's Friday. Fuck. I saw that reviews came out today. But yeah, Christ. Oh no. Thank you. Yeah, I just can't, I genuinely can't actually believe how much they're changing up 2D Zelda now as well as 3D. The fact that, like, it's very funny, because it's just like, oh man, like, at least make, like, a 2D Zelda game so that, you know, people that want to go back to the Zelda formula can, like, have their cake and eat it too. And then Nintendo were like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll make a 2D Zelda, and we'll also change the fuck out of that, you dickheads. Stop moaning. We're gonna change it up because we want to innovate. If you want to play the fucking same Zelda game again, go play the same old Zelda game again. It's right there. Most of them are on Switch Online. I just respect it so much of being like, no, fuck you, we want to change things up. We want to, like, make it so that Zelda can beat the entire game by building beds. What do you mean? The, Monster Wrangler game. Which one? The one... You mean the one where you, like, grow animals as farm? Like, you basically grow them as, like, veg and fruit, and then they become, like, monsters? Animations. Yeah, like, that's a very interesting looking game. I was like, farm sim meets, like, army-based RPG? Like, okay. It didn't look like something I'm gonna play. Like, I probably will never touch it, but I was like, that's a different concept that I've not seen before, of, like, 2 different blends of games that, like, a blend of genres that I've never seen, of, like, the idea that you grow these, like, giant carrot-looking plants, and then, like, when you press harvest, it turns into, like, a carrot wolf. I was like, okay. Yeah, I like the fact that it again, it didn't particularly look like something I was interested in, but it looked like something that was different. And it stood out to me because of that. It's like, it's got a very clearly memorable name. I can't remember the fuck out of the name. It was like, I think it was something along the lines of like farm magic or something like that, like a blending of like farm and like magicka or something like that. But again, like, yeah, of course, like, yeah, you always get points for trying to be bold and different. There's like a, you know, kind of the thing that Carl and I talk about all the time of just any kind of entertainment or media or whatever, like, it's more interesting to be like something that's different than just something that's like a really safe bet that's a completely forgettable flop. Like, if you're not going to be technically the best, like, performing or best looking game, or just technically the best, like, game in general, like, at very least you can be different and interesting. For Magia, that was it. I knew it was something close to, like, Far Magic, but, yeah. Interesting concept. Again, like, it's not something that I thought was the best looking game out of that group of games, but it's one of the games that I definitely remember from the Direct. Like, saw someone on Twitter, I think Bithel, saying that, like, they just enjoyed the fact that Star Wars The Acolyte had scenes where they weren't afraid to keep the, like, lightsabers on their belts for a few seconds. They're like, oh, finally they didn't just immediately just do combat with lightsabers second one. And it's just, that's all Star Wars, like, tends to be all of the time, is just, hey, like, we're gonna try and do the exact same thing every time. Like, remember that Darth Vader character? Yeah. Yeah. Fairly certain we all remember Darth Vader, yes. That's cool. I'm like, not necessarily excited to watch it. I think that's probably the wrong term to use, but it sounds interesting, the fact that people are saying that they're doing some different stuff and it's a bit of a different experience. And plus, you know, it's getting review bombed for being woke online, so it's probably doing something right? Probably doing something interesting if, like, the user reviews are getting, like, they're not just review bombing Star Wars Acolyte, though, which is hilarious. They're also accidentally review bombing, like, other films and TV shows that have the Acolyte in the title, because they're not sure which one it is. Which is hilarious to me that they can't even review bomb the right game. Or right TV show or whatever. Yeah, that's a cool concept. The reviews are decent from critics. Like, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it was on, like, 80-something% of critics recommended it. So, like, good, but probably not, like, mind-blowing or anything. But the user score I did see that was just like, oh, it's abysmal review score for user reviews because people are just, like, angry at it for having women in it, basically. Um, so we've got all the way over there. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, yeah, Andor has been the best Star Wars related project in a long time. Like, Andor's apparently just a legitimately good TV show, despite it being Star Wars, which is probably the best kind of review. But yeah, like, the one thing that bothered me from the summations I'd heard of Acolyte, not Acolyte, Andor, was just the, like, general structure of the TV show, because it basically sounds like it was a bit rinse-repeat in terms of, like, you've got 2 episodes of setup and 1 episode of payoff, like, 3 times over. Yeah. This is why the Sacred Silent Realms, the fucking... might as well be the Shadow Realm Trials. Yep, no way can Link make that jump. I woke water. Like, that's the thing, isn't it? It's hard to distinguish between, like, I think Sunny sums it up well of, like, either you're, like, I can't remember the exact term that he used, basically, like, you're either the grifter or the chump in any situation. And he's like, oh yeah, would you, like, in every situation you're a dupee or a duper. That's what he says. And he's like, I'd rather be the duper than the dupee. And basically just meaning, like, you know, in all these kind of situations, like the, you know, anti-woke war and shit, it's like, it's either people that are stupid as fuck and being duped into, like, believing all this bullshit, or it's absolute grifters just appealing to those dumbasses and getting them riled up on purpose, even if they don't necessarily believe what they're saying. And, like, I do wonder how many of these people who are talking about, like, anti-woke water and shit like this is, like, how many of them are genuine, actual idiots? And how many of them just know there's enough idiots out there that they can say this kind of stuff and keep appealing to? It's like I don't doubt that he's, like, at very least a complete knobhead, if not an idiot. But, like, Nigel Farage is a great example in, like, British politics of, like, he's just spent his entire life basically having zero fucking principles other than just appealing to whatever, like, people are pissed off about at the time. It's like, he seemingly has no beliefs that he's willing to stick to other than, I'm just going to aggravate idiots to vote for me. And it's like, I wonder how many, like, anti-woke people are just like, well, if I keep saying that I don't like woke things, then lots of people give me money, so I'm just going to keep, you know, appealing to that crowd. Because they'll keep giving me money, or they'll keep giving me views. Is there a competitive Pokemon shoot? I will be doing Pokemon, I might do like a competitive battle one, yeah, just because we haven't done that in a while. I haven't been asked to make any other Pokemon teams or anything because I've been worried about Destiny. Yeah, Clarkson's another good one. The Clarkson effect is a good point, yeah. Of like, their opinions seem to be that they want to anger people into liking them. That seemingly their opinion is like, they don't necessarily need to have their own opinions, they need to have opinions that will just rile up people. Yeah. There is that weird thing, right, of like, technically, Ewan McGregor's not actually that far off what Alec Guinness's age must have been when he did Star Wars, right? Like, Ewan McGregor's getting up there at this point. He must be in his 50s, right? And yeah, Alec McGuinness, or is Alec McGuinness? It's McGuinness, isn't it? Not Guinness. Like, he was definitely older than that, but I'm sure it's also one of those things where just people generally looked a lot older as well. I mean, I think fucking Clarkson and Morgan can both piss off in that. Obviously. Alec was 61, yeah, that's the thing where, like, Alec looks a lot older, but I imagine that it's a surprisingly short gap between their ages at this point, yeah. Like, that's the thing, is generally, you know, just people looked after themselves a lot less and therefore looked older, especially men. And that's a massive generalization, but look at the difference between how Alec Guinness looked at like 61 and Ewan McGregor looks at 53. Like, you would guess that there's like a fucking 20-year age gap between them, but there isn't. That's the thing, is like, I'm a person who looks tired a lot of the time, even at 32, but yeah, the cast of Cheers is a good example, and they just dressed in a way that makes themselves look a lot older as well. Just, you know, what we now consider older fashion, obviously, just, but like, just in terms of like looking after their hair and trying to, you know, keep their hair and trying to moisturize and make their skin better and stuff, like, generally that wasn't as much of a thing. So in like the 70s, where like Guinness is like 60, like, yeah, he looks a lot worse off than Ewan McGregor, who's probably spent his entire adult life trying to look after himself for the sake of being an actor who's been told probably most of his career to like make sure he's looking after himself and do. And I think smoking is a big one, like the changing, just the perception around smoking has changed so much. Is like, I think generally smoking is one of those things that ages people really poorly, and it's just not as popular nowadays. It's not as common for people to smoke like a fucking chimney like it used to be. Oh shit. Like, I mean, I know like 20 isn't that. Oh shit, they're right behind me. Yeah, it's not necessarily that like Alec hated Star Wars the entire time. I think he just was like, I don't really like this movie, I don't get why it's popular, and I want to be done with it. Whereas Star Wars fans obviously became obsessive with it, and obsessed with him, and would never fucking leave him alone. So, like, I think it's like it just wore on him, and he hated being, like, lumped in with this, like, thing that he didn't really give a shit about all the time. So I don't necessarily... I think he was just... when it came out, he was like, I don't particularly like this movie, but I think it's going to be popular and I want the paycheck. And then he just didn't really enjoy, you know, being constantly, like, pestered by that fan base and stuff. And I think it just became, like, exhaustion more than hate. But yes, he doesn't particularly, or didn't particularly enjoy talking about it or anything, but yeah, I presume if you were involved with, like, one movie at, you know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, depending on when it was, you know, when people were still pestering them and stuff, like, it was a project you didn't really have any affiliation with. It was just a paycheck. And you didn't really like the ideas of it or anything. You didn't enjoy the script. And then people would never fucking leave you alone about it. You'd probably just be like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, you'd probably end up hating it. What do I get to? Figure out, like, where that connective tissue is to get me across to the side over here. I don't necessarily, like, agree with the fact that you just constantly, like, you know, by the end of it, just complained about being involved with Star Wars, because it's like, hey, you became, like, famous as fuck and probably got paid, like, a decent amount. And it was, like, you know, a good job for you. And you should at least, like, show some appreciation of that, I guess. But seriously, how the fuck do I get to the other side of the area? And now I've got these lovely guards on my ass the entire time while I try and figure out. Yeah, Ian McKellen apparently is, like, looking to make a fine recovery, but, you know, either way it still sucks that he managed to fall off stage and injure himself. Like, I'm glad to hear that he apparently recover fine. $85. Fucking hell. Like, yeah, still as far as I've seen, doing great work, and, like, he must fucking enjoy doing what he does, because if I had his level of money and was 85, I don't think I'd want to be doing shit. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Oh, fuck you, man. Oh my word. Okay, this time I need to just... Is it just that I go left from here, but I didn't get back? So if we go this way this time... that tracks. If he's 85 now, he would have been... Yeah, early 60s when he did X-Men. Because that came out in, like, 2001 or 2002 or something. Yeah, I always struggle to remember which came first between, like, original X-Men movie. Well, not original X-Men movie, but, like, the 2000s X-Men film and Spider-Man 1. I remember they came out, like, very close to one another. Oh, shit. Presuming. One last here. Up here. Go. Now that we've found these three over here and figured out how to get to them, now I'll go back and do the other ones. Probably should have done it this way on my second attempt, but... I mean... You're not wrong, though, Shadow. You're not wrong. Oh, okay, so Spider-Man was a year after. Yeah, that tracks, yeah. Like, in my head, you know, I was, what, 8 years old when X-Men came out. 9 when Spider-Man came out. It's just, I remember them basically coming out the exact same time. While, like, just, you think about the direction that both of those franchises have gone of, like, Spider-Man, you know, at very least, all of those movies are, like, memorable, right? If some for good reasons, some for bad reasons, at least they meet the minimum mark of memorable, as we were talking earlier. Like, I genuinely forgot that X-Men Apocalypse fucking existed. Yeah, yeah, the fact that I said Apocalypse as you were typing that in. I genuinely at one point forgot that there was 4 movies in that, like, quadrilogy. I was like, oh yeah, they did, like, First Class, Days of Future Past, and Dark Phoenix, and it's like, they did Apocalypse as well, Lucas. Like, oh shit. And sometimes a lot of people forget that the Wolverine came out as well. Probably because... not the Wolverine, sorry, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Because the Wolverine came out. And was just a better version of a solo Wolverine movie. And then Logan came out. And, you know, embarrassed the fuck out of the Wolverine. Oh, yeah, Sophie Turner. Just... I mean, don't get me wrong. From everything I've heard and seen about her, like, with the whole, is it Nick Jonas that she's, like, gone through a divorce with, or separation or whatever? It's like, she actually seems like a really fucking cool person. But every time she's on screen as, like, as Phoenix or as fucking Santa Stark, she, like, drains the energy out of the out of the room. Joe Jonas, okay, yeah. To me, they might all, as well, all 3 of them just be the Jonas. She has the charisma on screen of Doctor, like, it just, like, genuinely seems behind the scenes and stuff, like, and in interviews, like just, like a pretty chill, cool person. Yeah, I've never enjoyed her on screen. Apart from, like, you know, watching interviews of her and the cast of the movies and stuff, like, on YouTube and whatever, and, like, her and Maisie Williams always looked like they were having a fun together, and I can't remember, it's like, might have been like a carpool karaoke clip or something I saw of them just, like, both taking the piss out of Sean Bean's accent and, like, loving him on the set and stuff like that. I liked moments of her in later seasons, but for the most part, I still didn't enjoy her on screen. Like, most of the time, whether it was due to her performance or the writing of the character, like, the only real times I enjoyed her when, like, yeah, she called Littlefinger the fuck out and stuff, but most of the time she was just, like, a wet blanket that kind of just bent over backwards for everyone. I know one of them adopted their direwolf in real life. I can't remember whether that was, Maisie Williams or not, or whether it's, Sophie Turner. I cannot remember. Yeah, I always enjoyed Carl's little fan casting of those two. But yeah, defo is not happening. Oh, yeah, Maisie and New Mutant, like, ironically, both in terrible X-Men franchise movies in the end, but at least some people still say that, like, there were good elements of New Mutants. Like, I've heard bad reviews about New Mutants, but people going, oh, but you know, some of the performances were, like, pretty good, and I liked X and Y in it. I don't think I've ever heard anyone praise anything about Dark Phoenix. I saw, like, people ragging on it at the time it came out, but I think since then people have, like, been a little bit friendlier to New Mutants. Was less than X. Is less good or less bad? The irony of Dark Phoenix, they had to, I think they had to do reshoots for that movie to make it so that the movie ended with a train crash. And it's like, that movie literally becomes a train wreck. Yeah, that's the thing I've heard about New Mutants, is, like, that it was fine. Like, mediocre is what I've kind of heard. Like, yeah, good and bad elements, nothing particularly great. Thank fuck for that. Trembling. Don't think I've ever heard a review score being given trembling as its adjective, but I like it. Yeah, that's one of the things I've heard about it, is Anya Taylor-Joy was good in it. I heard, like, generally people thought the movie was pretty well cast. There we go, the fire shield earrings. So now we can go inside the volcano. Sure, could be a wiki. Be interesting to read up on, like, the shit going down behind the scenes and. I'm excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm also very scared. I'm just like, because if They fuck up Deadpool and Wolverine. Yikes. Like, there's a lot, like, basically running on that movie alone to, like, a lot of people are pinning the entire revitalization of Marvel on that movie. And I'm like, I think maybe it has too high expectations from people. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like, I think everyone wants it to be a fucking 16 out of 10. That's what Deadpool 1 and 2 were, right? Is like, Deadpool 1, the humor in it, first time, was like so fresh and different for a superhero movie that it was like, man, this is the greatest film ever. Going back and watching it, I'm like, man, Deadpool 1 and 2 are fun movies with some dumb humor in them. Ooh. Believe it is, yeah? Yeah. Shadow sounds way more confident than I am about that, but yes. That's probably also another good thing going for this film, is like, it's been given a bit of space to breathe. We're not getting like 5 Marvel movies a year with 5 Marvel projects on like Disney Plus and 8 fucking forgettable shit DC films coming out and some fucking Fox movies to, like, you know, confuse people. Like, yeah, it really feels like everything's kind of coming together to make sure that, like, people appreciate Deadpool 3 a lot more. Because, like, I think some of the Phase 4 movies in Marvel have been some of the best. Some of my favorite, like, I think one of my favorite movies, not necessarily one of the best, is No Way Home, just because the fucking 20 years of nostalgia and triple Spider-Man in it up, and me being a massive fucking Spider-Man nerd. Like, Spider-Man is my favorite hero, and the fact we got, like, triple fucking Spider-Man. Is it as good as Across the Spider-Verse? No. It's not. But it was cool as fuck, and it was cool as fuck to, like, see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back and all 3 of their different Spider-Men interacting and stuff. Like, that was just fun for me. So it's one of my favorites. And then genuinely think, like, Shang-Chi was excellent. Guardians 4, excellent. Guardians 3, right? Guardians 3. There's 4 Guardians projects, but the other one's the holiday special. But yeah, like, just people seem to be like, man, it was so much better when, like, you know, the MCU had good movies. It's like, always had good and bad movies in every single phase. Like, they kind of got their shit together for a couple of years around the end of Phase 3, where, like, all of the movies were all good. They were all leading to one thing. But generally, there's always been no plans. Like, the first 2 entire phases of the MCU, people seem to forget. It felt like it had no fucking clue what it was doing. Like, they kept being, like, massively inconsistent changes in quality of the movies. Like, look at, like, the 3 Iron Man films, like, the two first Thor movies, like, a lot of them were either mediocre or just, like, not good at all. Like, Iron Man 1 was great, but, like, we also had fucking Iron Man 2 and Thor the Dark World. The casting choice. What, have they, like, quietly recast Kang already or something? Oh yeah, the latest Guardians movie did make me cry from, like, halfway. Every time they, like, showed anything with any of the animals, I was like, well, are we getting Blade next year? I literally was having this discussion with Carl the other day of, like, seems as though there's some weird shit going on with that. Like, starting filming again or something like that. Okay, please do not post that potential casting choice then if it's, like, potentially a massive... But yeah, I'd not seen anything about it, but Carl mentioned the other day that some shit went down with Blade that I'd not seen anything about. So, that makes me not so hopeful for that. Yeah. 2-year delay. Goddess Cube. To do to parties. Oh, that's good. We can dance for Goddess Cubes now. Yeah, I know, like, obviously between, hang on. There we go. I clicked my unmute button like 4 times and it just wasn't working. Yeah, I would assume at this point to, like, take every single plan for every Marvel release date and just delay it all. Between, like, COVID, casting problems with Kang, or recasting problems with Kang, I guess. And just, like, you know, general Disney trying to figure out what to do to stop, like, all the talk about superhero fatigue and stuff. I generally just assume, like, yeah, add more time onto everything. The writing strike as well, true, yeah. Quench my thirst to clear your path. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, like, we had to do something about, like, getting blobs of water attached to the sword, and then you throw blobs of water, like, water... Not blobs, I think water flowers or something that you throw at these little frog statues. I mean, in my eyes, I think it should be easy to recast Kang. The only real problem that they've got is that they did have that one post-credit scene where they showed, like, the Council of Kangs. And every single one of them with Jonathan Majors looking. And they set up, like, clearly what are, like, the more important Kangs or whatever. Like, the one that looked like a pharaoh and stuff. And it's like... Yeah, I think it's... Because the easy thing to be Kang would, like... Oh, it's just a variant. They're a different variant. Like, they look different now. If they hadn't set up the fact that the entire fucking council all look the same. However, I still think that it's going to be fine. I think they got away with recasting the fucking Hulk and no one said shit. No, but that shot already exists, right? Like, people already have that in their brain and have that expectation out there. But, like, they just gave us a new Bruce Banner and no one really gave a shit. And yeah, that was maybe when people were a bit less invested, but I'm pretty sure of, like... same with Rhodey, actually, right? Like, they just have that scene in Iron Man 2 of, like, I'm here, it happened, get over it, let's move on. That's like literally, oh, I can't even remember the actors. The second actor for Rhodey now. Don Cheadle. That's like literally Don Cheadle's fucking opening line in Iron Man 2 is just like, yeah, I'm here, it happened, get over it. Yeah, I don't particularly know if like that's. It depends how close they're gonna get to comic book Reed Richards, but the like, I don't know if like Pedro Pascal's just too likable to be Reed Richards, right? Like, he's the internet's daddy, and it's like Reed Richards is not the internet's daddy. Reed Richards is a bit of a pretentious dickhead. Yeah, I think that's the one advantage, the biggest advantage that they had with like that original Hulk movie recasting is that most people probably didn't even realize that that Hulk was meant to be anything to do with the rest of the MCU. I mean, like, I get that, like, no one likes Chris Pratt now, like, me included. But Chris Pratt plays a very likable person on screen. Like, he's still likable as Star-Lord. He's still likable as, like, the only other thing I really know him for is, you know, Andy from Parks and Rec. Again, though, John Krasinski, like, I don't see him having that, like, prickish side to him like Reed Richards should. I did see, like, an older video before the casting came out of someone saying that Glenn Howerton, who is Dennis from Is Always Sunny, like, the fact that he could be a really good, like, arsehole Reed Richards of, like, he's, you know, he's been in other projects where he's played, like intelligent people before, like, he can play that kind of smarmy, intelligent side as well, but he also obviously plays, like, the douchebag dickhead that no one likes extremely well. Like, if that's the read they were going for, which I think is more interesting than to just go for, like, the bland goody two-shoes Reed Richards that we got in, like, the noughties movie. Yeah, I mean, Pratt gets the goofy riz because he played Andy in Parks and Rec, right? Like, he basically got typecast as that. Daniel Radcliffe would be a fun Doctor Doom. We didn't talk too much about the other games. Not really, no. I don't have too much to say about most of them. Like, super excited about the fact we're getting, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 coming back out of nowhere. The Mario and Luigi announcement was really cool, other than the fact that it's kind of bullshit that Nintendo, like, let the developers of that series die and then went and stole that franchise from them. Like, I know it's Mario, like, Mario is their franchise, but, like, they let the developers of all the Mario and Luigi games, like Alpha Dream, they told them to make some, like, not great remakes. Said that the sales of the games were too bad, and then let them die. And then have gone and made their own one. And it's a bit like, oh, it's a bit scummy, Nintendo. So yeah, not happy about the studio side of things with Mario and Luigi thing. That being said, I think they captured the essence of that franchise really well. The animation looks really cool. I'm glad how much like color and personality looks in it. Mario Party, I'm always down for more Mario Party. Bit sad that we're going for like Super Mario Party style again, but I hope that it's a bit more of a balance between Super Mario Party and Super Mario Superstars. Like, they've got a couple of the old classic stages in there. I think going for the gimmicks of the stages, like having the race car stage, like, I like the idea. Oh, yes, of course. The bottle. How silly of me. That's the 2 and 2 that I was not putting together. Yeah, I definitely will do more about Wallace and Gromit. Definitely want to be able to put some clips in of, like, Wrong Trousers. That's definitely, like, my #1 pick to do, because it's both mine and Carl's favourite of the Wallace and Gromit shorts anyway. But yeah, like, DK Country Returns, it's, like, cool. The remaster didn't look like a great remaster. It really looked like it was just a bit upscaled, and I guess it's cool that we've got the 3DS levels, and it's cool that we can play that game without having to shake the fucking Wiimote like this every time you want to do a roll. Because that was the only way you could fucking do it in that game, and it was annoying as shit. But yeah, like, glad that more people are gonna get to play that game, I guess, but like, bit of a weird one. To like randomly pull out like that feels alongside like the I know, like, kind of funny joke about like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse when it comes to the Switch, of like, oh, the remasters like Luigi's Mansion 2 of just like, we need to like fill out the fucking rest of the year for the Switch, and like obviously that just hasn't happened now that they've announced all these other new games. But it's like, normally that's the signs of like, oh, the console's like on its last dying legs, like all the last year of the games are gonna be like weird remasters and stuff like that, and remakes that like are low effort and stuff. I don't think we've done one specifically on Zelda, no. Could we do the fire extinguisher routine again? Yeah, like, that's the thing, right? When it was just like, here's like a remake of Luigi's Mansion, here's a remake of Donkey Kong and Mario, or whatever it's called, like the Mario and DK Minis game, like the Super Mario RPG, the Luigi's Mansion 2, like the Donkey Kong Country Returns. When it's just like remake, it feels like, oh, okay, this is like dragging towards the end of the console now. And then, yeah, they just dropped a few new bigger titles, like a fucking Zelda game. I mean, I'm hyped to both, yeah. Obviously, we'll be doing Super Mario RPG first. But I'm excited to play both of those games again. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, as like, Metroid Prime 4 definitely seems like it's going to be, hey, we're going to launch this around like the release of the Switch 2. and it's just going to be released on both. They did at least confirm on Twitter, like, hey, this is coming out on Switch. I mean, we are getting another Pokemon Legends game. I don't know how, like, excited I am for it, because I burnt myself out on the first Legends Arceus game by doing, like, a stream of it as well as playing it on my own, and, like, playing that game twice in quick succession didn't go down well, for me at least. It was not a fun experience. Ah, that's what these things are, yeah, because you get, like, a burrow ability from your mitts. How about that? Yeah, so they're getting Pokemon Legends DA is coming out, which is something to do with Lumio City from Pokemon X and Y. Oh, the fucking the like the fact that we're getting a nod to Psylux from Metroid Prime Hunters, like I wasn't really aware, other than listening to podcasts where people were joking, like, oh, they're still gonna bring back Psylux that they, like, teased finding a Metroid or something, and I was like, wait, what? They did that? And yeah, I've played a bit of Prime Hunters. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I just played the demo and some of the multiplayer with, like, the DS download play back in the day. Like, I didn't play through it properly. And yeah, I'm just like, that's a real weird deep cut. It's like, no one really played fucking Metroid Prime Hunters. It was 20 years ago, and seemingly you're setting them up to be the antagonist of, like, your Metroid Prime 4 big return. Like, wild fucking swing. Okay. No, yeah, no worries. Shadow, thank you for joining, as always. Been a pleasure to chat. You may find me here on Thursday, still trying to figure out where the fuck to go with this frogman. Like, this random bit of vine is really throwing me off. Like, the vines to nowhere. Yeah, like, I know that the biggest complaints about Megas are, like, A, they're not very balanced, and B, that there's only, like, a certain small number of Pokemon that ever got Mega Evolutions, but I always thought the answer would be to continue adding more and more Megas over time, so that more Pokemon did have Megas, rather than be like, fuck it, get rid, new gimmick this time. So I'm very, very excited for, even if it is just the return of the Megas we already have. Like, some Mega Pokemon are fucking sick, and I'm really upset they ever got rid of them. And the gimmicks have only... Actually, no, I was about to say the gimmicks have only got worse since then. Gigantamax was even worse than Z-moves. Terastallization is definitely better than Z-moves or Gigantamax. Or Dynamax. We're gonna do big cheats because I'm just going around a big circle here. I can't figure this out. So for the sake of me not just being here for another hour, we're just going to do big cheats. Oh, fuck's sake. Piss off with you giant fucking Elden Ring ads. Yeah, I recently started up my Omega Ruby save file for a little bit to try out doing some Nuzlocke run on there, just chill in the background, and then ended up like just losing all my Pokemon and was like, nope, no, I'm gonna leave it there. Oh, I'm so stupid. Right. Right. The vines to nowhere are the answer. It's not where the vines are going, it's that the vines can get you up there because I've been coming out here trying to claw shot these vines, walking inside, seeing the vines and forgetting I can claw shot them. Come on. I mean, I only streamed my very first Nuzlocke run not long ago on this channel. I get the appeal of it, but I also completely understand why no one, like, someone would never want to do one. I get the appeal of Pokemon without doing Nuzlocke run, but I also, after doing a Nuzlocke run, could understand, like, the appeal, but I don't get the type of Pokemon fans that are like, it's the only way to play the game, and it's like, shut up. If you want to enjoy your Nuzlocke run, you go ahead, but don't fucking berate other people if they don't like the idea of doing a Nuzlocke. That's what pisses me off more than anything. So, you know, go ahead. Never do a Nuzlocke run. It doesn't sound like you, then don't do it. Yep, it's literally just like a punishing challenge mode for people who want more challenge out of Pokemon, and people who pretend that like playing Pokemon the normal way is like the wrong way, they can just piss off. No, it's literally not the wrong way to play it. The real question is, what's less fun? Doing a level 1 run of Kingdom Hearts, or doing that like video I saw one time of like the person who got to max level without leaving the island from in Kingdom Hearts. Like, I can't remember what it's called, like Destiny Island or whatever the fuck it's called, but like legit saw someone get to like max level just there, and it took them like days of grind, like literal days worth of hours of grinding. Just that one single fight getting XP. They literally just did the fight because, like, get the option to like replay the tutorial fight or whatever. Yeah, like, you could literally beat the game multiple times over before you get to like max level on Destiny Island. I think it's literally just you do an easy tutorial fight and just press like retry the fight and do that until you hit level 100. No, absolutely not. We're all, you know, or at least I do not allow people in chat, whether they're, you know, whether you think that Nuzlocke's the only way you should play Pokemon, is like, no, that's not what we encourage in this chat. We encourage people playing games however the fuck they want, whether they want to use the guide, play easy mode, not do challenge run. Just whatever way you can play a game to make it enjoyable, fucking play it that way. It's absolutely absurd that people are like so fucking aggressive about people not lock. It's just horrible, toxic gatekeep behavior. No, we do not endorse that. Oh my god. The only time I've, like, within the last, like, 10 years played Kingdom Hearts, I think it took me, like, 30 hours. Doing it under 15, that's, like, I hate those kind of trophies. Like, I think this is, like, a trophy for getting... I think to get the Platinum in Resident Evil 2, and maybe even 4, I can't remember if it was Platinum related, or whether it was just for the challenges in the game. But then I think maybe there was a trophy block behind get challenges done or something. But I think you had to do an S run on at least one of those to get plats, if not both of them. And I'm like, okay, but to get a S rank run in, like, Resident Evil 2 Remake, for example, I think you need to beat the game in 2.5 hours. And, like, even just learning a couple of the routes and stuff, you can do it easy in 90 minutes. Like, easily. Whereas when it's the difference between, like, 15 hours and, like, yeah, if you fuck that up, you've got to do another 15 hours of replaying the game near enough. It doesn't feel too bad when it's like, beat RE4 in like 4 hours or less, or beat RE2 in like 2.5 hours or less, because you can do that in like a sitting, right? But when it's asking you to commit to like another attempt of maybe getting the trophy that's going to take you like another dozen hours of your life plus, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, right? Even in multiplayer games, like, you do you, play how you want to enjoy. Like, it annoys me, for example, like, people that play like Call of Duty and just camp. Any like competitive shooter type game or shooter type game where people are just knobheads that just camp in the back or like spawn kill or whatever. It's like, I don't encourage that behavior. I don't think it's nice to play that way because it's, pretty shitty and toxic towards other members of the community, but that's how you want to enjoy your game, I guess. Just play it that way. I guess at least, like, it does let you do it on beginner mode. Yeah, it's like, that's totally a fair example. I hate playing as, like, Widowmaker, but someone enjoys it. Like, some people enjoy playing tank. I don't particularly like tanking, but find a large base and assuming the large basin of water that we need is the big tank that the dragon was in like Hylia, if I'm remembering right. Then we get like Scrapper to go over and pick it up. Well, forgot that these guys like can infinite dodge no matter how like quickly you can attack. That looks pretty rough. Oh, they got it. As a person that's not huge on Kingdom Hearts, I was kind of a bit meh with Sora in Smash. Think it's pretty disappointing on my, like, you know, in terms of my level of excitement, it's pretty disappointing as, like, the last character of, like, holy fuck, who's the last Smash character that we're gonna get in Ultimate? It's like, Sora. Like, for me, that was my reaction of, like, oh. But I was happy for other people. I know that a lot of other people were very excited about that. And I still think that it's similar to, like, Steve in Smash. I was like, I'm very happy for the people that are very happy about this. Because there's a lot of them. And it's a big pick, and it makes a lot of sense, but it's not a pick for me. It's like when, like, Simon Belmont was announced. I'm like, you know what? Rad pick for someone else. Not personally my choice. Terry makes perfect sense. Terry's like the classic SNK fighter. Like, if you were gonna have a pick from SNK, you'd have a representative of Terry and Mai. And obviously, as they joked, like, you know, Mai being for, like, Smashes about, like, being good boys and girls or whatever he said. It's like, yeah, maybe we can't have, like, massive swinging, like, jiggling boobs in Smash Bros. It's probably a bad look. So they went with Terry and not Mai. And it's like, yeah, you know, they recently had, like, the SNK announcement for Street Fighter's new, Street Fighter 6's new, not series, season, or whatever they call it in, I think it's a season in Street Fighter 6, right? But either way, it's like, they announced Terry and Mai. I mean, not really. I don't see it as being, I don't know, any Smash Bros. Pick is technically out of nowhere. But just, oh, here's a legacy fighting game character with a lot of recognition and a lot of fans. I think it makes perfect sense. It's not necessarily like, oh, he's a massive relevant character at the time, but it's not every Smash Bros. Character is that. Like, there are some that are, oh, this is, you know, meant to be something that's relevant to something that's, like, coming out or what have you, but it's very similar to, like, when they added, like, Mega Man. Of like, hey, this is a character with a lot of video gaming history, was very popular in the past, hasn't really had much going on right now, but they should get added just for, like, the legacy that they have. And that's exactly what Terry was, especially, like, you know, as a legacy fighting game character. I think the one for me that was always a bit, like, of a disappointment in terms of fighting game characters was that we got, like, a Ken instead of a Chun-Li. But I totally understand why Ken's an easy thing to add when you've got Ryu in the game, whereas Chun-Li's... So Destiny's story content is all playable solo. Not all of Destiny's story is still in Destiny 2 anymore, because they removed some of the early story campaigns by now. But all Destiny's story campaigns are entirely playable solo. Like, any story-related content, Destiny-wise, apart from, like, if you consider raids story-related, which generally they aren't, apart from the latest one, but you still don't need that raid to, like, get the full story experience. Like, I consider myself of having that story play itself out, and I've not completed the raid yet. So yeah, all of like the stuff that's story related in Destiny is all playable entirely so. And yeah, the Fire Emblem characters, I think everyone can agree that, man, yeah, we get that you're releasing a lot of Fire Emblem games lately, and for every new Fire Emblem release, you wanted another fucking Fire Emblem character to promote the new game, but having like, what, 8 or 9 Fire Emblem characters by the end of it, when basically it was like the most represented series in all of Smash Bros. If you don't count like, if you count as they do in the game, like Wario being from the Wario games and like Yoshi being from the Yoshi games, it's like, technically if you add all those Mario characters together, as well as like Wario, Yoshi, all those ones, like Mario's the most represented in terms of fighters. But Mario should be, right? And like, I think there's as many Fire Emblem characters as there are Pokemon. And it's like, that's not representative of how big Fire Emblem is in the Nintendo franchise. Yeah, like, I think it's very much agreed upon by every fan of both Smash Bros. And Fire Emblem that they're like, yeah, just like, there were too many Fire Emblem characters. Some of them were really cool in there, but there were too many. I will go with exactly what Sakurai has said in the past of, if a character didn't originate from a video game, they're not fucking getting in Smash Bros. That's always been Sakurai's stance, and I think that's exactly how it should stay. Because it feels like Smash Bros. Has an identity, whereas you look at something like Multiverses, it's such a mishmash of things where it's like, don't forget Chrom, Marth, Roy, Lucina, and Chrom. Like, Chrom is an echo of Roy. But like, yeah, I think there's plenty of anime characters that would make perfect fighting. Like they would make perfect sense in terms of, you could make a moveset for them just fine. But like, I don't think any non-gaming character should be in there, because I think it means that, like, it gives Smash Bros. Some identity outside of just being the crossover game. It at least feels like it's a game that celebrates gaming and gaming legacy, and Multiverses feels like, hey, we wanted crossovers because we wanted money, and nothing to do with like actually respecting, anything that game stands like that. That game stands for, let's try and get cash. That's what Multiverse is. Whereas Smash Bros., as much as it is a product designed to make money, it feels like it is a celebration of gaming. Well, anything goes in Fortnite apart from Nintendo, right? Because Nintendo have apparently said in the past that, like, oh yeah, we'll give you our characters in Fortnite. And they're like, oh sweet, we can get like Samus in Fortnite or something. Yeah, but they can't show up on any other version that's not the Nintendo Switch version. Like, no, that's not how this works, Nintendo. Like, if you buy a skin, it needs to be playable in every version of the game, and they're like, nope, no, okay, bye Fortnite. Like, shit. Nintendo just do not care. It feels very jarring to see, like, it is weird as fuck when thinking of like the Boys one. I was really thrown off watching Starlight use a gun. And like, it's weird watching, like, presumably they do have Batman in there, which, Batman, at least in modern comics, has a rule of no guns. Watching Spider-Man shoot guns, it feels weird, like, but it felt very specific to me when it's like, literally, like, in the show The Boys, and he is like uncomfortable using guns, and specifically, you know, tries not to use them, and then you've got like the Starlight trailer being like, "Fuck yeah, she's got a gun too." It's like, yeah, this feels odd, and it would be very odd if like Mario was using a gun. I don't know, because like it would have made sense if like Sony All Stars Battle Royale, is that what it's called? Like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. It makes sense for them to have not had like a character in Smash Bros. Brawl because of that, but I would have assumed that they wanted a character in Ultimate and probably spoke to Nintendo about it. I agree that it's the best of the rip-offs, yes. I had friends who, unfortunately, always wanted to play All-Stars Battle Royale over Smash Bros. And thought it was the better game. I didn't agree with them on that front, but I did think that it was a fun game on it, like, in its own right, and was probably the best of the rip-offs, yeah. Do you wish to borrow your walk? Very weird that the game kind of just went, we'll need a water basin that's large. I hope you really fucking remember that water basin that we dealt with the water dragon in it, like, 2 dungeons ago, and that pops to your mind without any fucking hints. Oh, I thought Fat Princess was a great character, like, weird in such a fun way. Yeah, Crash Bash wasn't necessarily a rip-off of Mario Party in the sense of, like, obviously there being 0, like, board game elements and stuff. Like, it was a fun minigame game in its own right, for sure. But yeah, I don't really class that as even being, like, a Mario Party rip-off, because, like, it didn't even try and do, like, the gimmick of Mario Party being, like, the party board game or anything. It was just, hey, do you want to play some minigames? But it was fun. I always enjoyed that as a kid. But yeah, if it was just due to, like, Sony being concerned about, you know, having their own version of a game, it's weird that they wouldn't have a character by now in Smash Bros. Because, like, they have an attempt to make their own version in, like, 15 years at this point. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale must have been, like, 2009 or 10 or something. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. PlayStation has more of its actual own characters nowadays that they could use, rather than most of All-Stars Battle Royale was, like, stealing third-party characters, which is why it felt such a weird roster. Because 2012? Oh shit, okay, so maybe, like, 10 years after Smash Bros. Ultimate got its final characters and stuff, like, that must have been probably 2022 or something, 2021 maybe, when Sora came out. So yeah, still, like, a 10-year gap when they weren't supporting All-Stars Battle Royale anymore as well, and they've not made any attempt to make a new one, as far as we're aware, at least. Like, shut down, that's not too far after the game came out. Like, it's definitely, I would imagine, I have no actual knowledge to say for sure, but I would only imagine PlayStation had at some point had a discussion with Nintendo to get a PlayStation character in there, or Nintendo approaching PlayStation. and just one of the two parties not being fucking interested. I went to the wrong location here. I mean, Knack was never in that game, right? Knack was never in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Because it was a PS3 game and Knack was PS4. Yeah. Definitely, if they'd made like a sequel not long after, like, they really pushed Knack for a little while. We got a Knack 2, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense that they only wanted to add, like, one Final Fantasy rep per, like, game, so, like, Smash 4 and then Smash Ultimate. It makes sense that, like, yeah, we added one new Final Fantasy character, and the two Final Fantasy characters that you would add first are Cloud and Sephiroth. So, like, if we did somehow get, like, a Smash Ultimate, I would imagine that there's a potential for a third. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, it'd have probably been fucking Noctis, and that would be bollocks. Because, like, obviously, Clive wasn't out at the time, but now on Switch 2, it would probably be just fucking Clive. And again, that would be awful. Because it would probably just be like, hey, remember our, like, new cool protagonist? Hey! Like, oh, don't do it. Like, the fact they added, like, Noctis into Tekken. I mean, I'd all be totally up for adding one of the women in there, like, get Tifa or Lightning in there. I think they're both really cool characters. I don't particularly like 13, but Lightning is a very good character design. Like, just purely in terms of design alone, like, I think Lightning is probably the strongest character design they've had since, like, maybe, like, Final Fantasy X and some of that cast. Who's Jill? I don't remember there being a Jill in Final Fantasy. Less than 16, and that would explain. Because man, I did not like the look of... Oh. I did not like the look of, like, any of the story shit going on there. I was like, if you sold me, like, a super cut of the game where I could do all those cool looking boss fights and ignore all the story and ignore Clive, then yeah, cool. Sell that to me as, like, a £20 game. Oh, okay. I absolutely despise the look of the world in 16, the sound, like, the accent of the characters, the, like, plot line being all, like, literally trying to be Game of Thrones. They admitted as much themselves. They literally forced the development team to watch Game of Thrones because they wanted it to that Game of Thrones. Which, you know, even before the game came out, turned out to be not the best fucking idea. Yeah, it was very bleak, and just, like, seeing how stupid Rebirth is in comparison, and, like, watching scenes where, like, Red has to, like, disguise himself and walk around as a fucking human on a cruise ship as you play, like, card mini games and, like, have a completely ridiculous over-the-top characters. I'm like, this is my kind of Final Fantasy. Well, the one thing that Xenoblade and Final Fantasy have in common is awful fucking voice acting. At least Final Fantasy 16. I hate the voice acting in Xenoblade. It put me off the games entirely. Every time fucking Rex gets a victory speech in like the fucking Smash Bros. Ultimate screen for Pyra and Mithra, I'm just like, shut the fuck up, Rex. And just like the other, like the two things are like the awful English VO and the incessant amount of talking during combat. And that's the thing, is like you're meant to have Final Fantasy be like, oh look, it's the end of the world and Sephiroth is trying to like fucking destroy the planet and shoot like meteorites through the fucking sun and shit like this. It's like, you have that, but then you also have like dumbass minigames and stuff and like ridiculousness, and it's just like, it feels really weird to have the Final Fantasy 16 type where it's just taking itself super fucking seriously. It's why, like, as much as I complain about a lot of elements of 13, the one thing that I got over time was like, oh, Vanille like comes off as like really fucking annoying to begin with, and then you're like, oh no, Vanille is like trying to actively forget about how dour the world is and trying to play like a you know, put on a whimsical tone and be playful because she's trying to forget, and she's trying to make everyone else around her feel a little bit better rather than just focusing on the fact they're all about to fucking die. Like that kind of conversations with her in that game make me realize, oh no, you're not just annoying for the sake of being annoying. Like, you're trying to keep up the spirits of the rest of your group because you all have this essentially insurmountable task. There were too many minigames in Rebirth in the sense of, like, there were too many that you had to play. If it was just, hey, these minigames, heads up, these minigames exist, and you can do them on the side if you want, great. The fact that so many of them were, like, built into the story was what annoyed me. I honestly have zero problem with them having twice the amount of minigames that game already did. But just, man, don't make them all fucking mandatory. But yeah, I really enjoyed how many there were. I really did. I really enjoyed how many minigames there were in Rebirth, but as time went on, I really started getting into the thing of like, man, why are you making me play this right now? Like, I just want to kind of get on with the story, and you could have just told me that this, like, minigame is available, and I'll go do it as a side quest at some point. Yeah, the fact that actually, like, pretty much like every single minigame you had to do one. Like, why? But yeah, it's like, yeah, definitely that thing of, I didn't have a problem with the amount of minigames. I had the problem with the mandatory nature of them. Yeah, yes and no. I don't think I'd like to see it get a trilogy of remake. I think I would like to see them stick a little bit closer to just what FF8 was. And just, you know, make the game super fun to play and like, you know, completely redo all the graphics and that. Like, yeah, totally. Just don't think I'd want it to be like 3 games that I've got to wait 10 years to play. Like, if it was just, here's a game that is roughly the same size and length of FF8, that would be awesome. But I think making FF7 an entire trilogy makes it way too bloated. But yeah, in terms of just the pure, like, graphical rehaul and gameplay changes and all that jazz, totally give me the craziness of FF8 again. And, oh, that would be cool as fuck. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen because, like, the reason Final Fantasy VII got the treatment that it is getting is because, like, it sold way more than every other Final Fantasy, apart from, like, maybe 10, I think sold quite well as well, but it also, like, you know, that's the one that has all, like, the movies and the spin-offs and the characters in Smash Bros. And the boss fights in Kingdom Hearts. Like, people are way, way, way more aware via pop culture osmosis of 7 than any other game. Yeah, Final Fantasy fans know most of the Final Fantasies, but I feel like most gamers know what Final Fantasy VII is. As if, like, I showed the average quote-unquote gamer like a picture of Lightning or of Tidus or of Squall, I don't think they could tell me, or Clive or Noctis, you know, any protagonist that isn't Cloud. I don't think most normal gamers would know who those characters are, whereas most of them would know who Cloud and Sephiroth are. Oh, shit. Oh, really? Yeah, I remember, like, I think I did. No, no, no. No, please, no. How far back did that? Okay, it hasn't reset all the enemies. Yeah, exactly right. Like, a lot of people didn't necessarily ever play Final Fantasy VII, but there's lots of other things like Kingdom Hearts where they might know Cloud and Sephiroth from. Again, you know, a more recent example, them being in Smash Bros. Yeah, I've never watched Advent Children. All I know is that it's meant to be bad, but Final Fantasy VII fans really like it. Like, it's just, as far as I'm aware, just like, hey, you want some really fucking expensive looking cool anime, basically anime fights with, like, Sephiroth and Cloud in them? Yeah, cool, you're gonna eat this shit up, but I've never heard of it as anything other than, like, just a pretty bad movie. But yes, I know many Final Fantasy VII fans that fucking adore Advent Children, despite it being, like, maybe not a good film. And that's fine. Like, sometimes it's great to just have shit like that where it's like, yeah, this was just made for fans to enjoy. Like, a lot of, like, the Dragon Ball content that we have nowadays where it's like, don't necessarily think that, like, Dragon Ball Super's great. But, you know, I really enjoy watching it. It's like, cool, do I want to watch, like, essentially cool action figures bashed together? Yeah, for the most part, I do. Like, do I just want to watch Goku Black Arc because, like, it's not the best, but it's more Dragon Ball? Yeah, kinda. Oh, you just got the Mihawk. Okay. The fun part to be at, but yeah, like that's the weird thing, right? Is like obviously Mihawk is way before when people are like, oh, you know, you've got to like watch One Piece and get to like episode 40 before it gets good or whatever the fuck people say, and it's like, I agree that Arlong Park is the first like proper arc type anime arc that feels a bit more substantial, and it's kind of where they really solidify One Piece a bit more, but I'm still always just like, no, it's good from episode 1. What you on about? Stop telling people that like they've got to get 40, 50 episodes in before they get to the good bit. The good bit is episode 1 onwards. It's just that I would definitely agree that if you finish, I think it's like episode 44 or something, the end of Arlong Park arc. But like, if you finish that arc and you're still not enjoying it, yeah, you're probably not going to get One Piece. You're probably not going to enjoy it. But like, when people pretend like the first 40 episodes aren't good, I'm like, no. So I'm glad that you've been enjoying it so far. I mean, like, amiibos basically are because of Smash Bros. Like, all of the original amiibo were the Smash Bros. Amiibo, and all of the original amiibo figures are like the poses that the trophies or whatever have in the games. Like, not the trophies because they got rid of trophies, but like the character poses of like all of the character artwork and stuff. Like, that's why so many of the weird designs of amiibo early on were like Link with like the weird yellow stand that goes up to his crotch, because hey, that was the pose that they picked for like Link, and essentially what would be his trophy pose. Yeah, they could have named them trophies. Like, amiibo's a weird name. Yes, the lizards have Ultra Instinct until they go into that weird, like, annoying you can't hit me pose where they taunt you. It's like, it makes a bit more sense back in the day where you had to do each individual swing, so it was a little bit slower. But in this game, where Link can just be like, just flashing at like fucking 90 miles an hour when he's got actual stamina, when he can go that, it makes a lot less sense that the Lizalfos can just dodge every hit. Just like, how do you dodge Link slashing that fast? Just, it's a very silly holdover for a game mechanic change, like a controller change. Yeah. Like, that was always the weird thing. But for myself as well, is like, I watched that terrible 4Kids dub with like the awful voice acting, and the Sanji had like all his cigarettes were like fucking lollipops and stuff, and Smoker couldn't smoke cigars, so it was just smoke in his mouth. Like, I went from watching that as a kid to then watching the anime like as an adult and being like, Oh yeah, I kind of remember some of this stuff, but like not totally. I mean, the Zolo thing makes sense. Because, like, it could be Zolo or Zorro. There's no exact translation. When you're, like, translating Japanese, like, that sound can always be translated as an L or an R, and there's no correct way. But you would imagine that it was meant to be Zorro in the sense of, like, Zorro, the swordsman, the character, like... Yeah, I did try doing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub, and was like, oh man, a lot of this is pretty bad. I mean, the pacing is just better because it's manga, right? Like, manga is trying to be cut down to the bare bones, whereas anime is trying to stretch it out for as long as possible. Anime is always going to have worse pacing. Like, the pacing got a lot worse with One Piece the moment they started, like, getting close to catching up, right? Like, it's why One Piece for the longest time had fantastic pacing, is because the anime was so far behind the manga. Whereas, you know, you get to, like, Wano, where they're literally, like, going week for week, and they have to make one book last multiple episodes, or not one book, you know, one volume has to last a lot longer for them. It's like, yeah, all of a sudden the pacing drops a little bit, and still don't think the pacing of One Piece is that bad. But I think the pacing of One Piece definitely gets worse. And I can see why, like, people want to get on with it, but I just happy to enjoy the ride with One Piece. I'm always just happy to, like, have more. I'm glad, like, I've had a few people say that, yeah, like, the video of, you know, why you should watch One Piece, actually working on them, and it's like, I'm glad that some people watch that and will manage to be influenced, because that's why I made the video, is like... Yeah. I think, obviously, watching it on, like, Crunchyroll, for example, like, a streaming service, and watching it with it all being out, like, I think a lot of people complain about One Piece because they watch it week to week, whereas just being able to be like, hey, all of Dressrosa is out, let's just watch all of Dressrosa, and then I can, like, you know, I didn't skip anything that was in each episode, but people getting annoyed about the fact that, like, oh, between the intro, the recap, and the outro, that's like 8 minutes of the episode, and it's actually only like 15 minutes worth of content. Like, yeah, that's fine for me. I didn't skip any of the content that was actually in the episode, but it certainly makes it a lot worse when you're watching week and just multiple minutes of the opening of the episode is just recapping the last episode. Yeah. That's the thing is, like, I just literally... Every single episode, all you need to do is just, like, cool. I skip the intros anyway, because they're full of spoilers. And then just get to the bit where it's got the title screen on the little preview. Bam. Done. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. But I can imagine it's infuriating watching week to week of, like, oh, man. Like, the first, like, 6 minutes of this episode are just, like, recap and intro. Like, that would be annoying. Which is why I don't watch week to week. It's very funny that a lot of people that complain, like, oh, man, like, they just do so much, like, recap per episode. It's like, but are you watching weekly? Because That'll be half your problem right there. Realize we're like at the start of a new temple. Probably just leave it there for today, and does with like a nice start of stream, nice clean part to start on next time. But yeah, I will be doing some Pokemon battling on Thursday, and just like you know, as always, anyone feel free to bring a team in and get into some competitive Pokemon. But yeah, we'll be back on Thursday for that, and then back to Mass Effect Mondays on the Monday. Yeah, I think that's like kind of the problem again with like watching to like rush through. I think like you totally I think it doesn't, you know, work for that kind of experience when people are like, I just want to get to the end. It's like about the journey, not the destination. But I can also understand, like, I also wanted to catch up as a spoiler. So yeah. But I was only, you know, I only had to catch up with 1.0, so it wasn't as bad, but yeah. Thank you all for watching. Hope everyone had. Thank you all for chatting with me. Hopefully see you all soon. See you everyone.